Now. Good evening, everybody. This is Juli Pitra, and it's time for Thursday Talk again. And sorry, we're getting started a little late, hit some traffic. So just now getting back to where I need to be. And I'm excited about our conversation tonight. So the strategy that we're going to discuss today is, oh, you know what? I started doing something new and I forgot all about it. I like to say a little bit of something about myself so that those who haven't heard me at least know who I am. My name is Juli Pitra, and I'm originally from Colorado Springs, Colorado. I have been married almost 27 years. Get these personal details out of the way. I have 2 kids, 23 and 21. My husband is a wonderful man from the Czech Republic, and we lived in a variety of places. My educational background, I've got an undergraduate degree in nuclear engineering, as well as a graduate degree in business and finance. For the past 8 years, I've been a real estate investor and realtor, and I've been really excited about that. And as a result of what I learned from my mom and what I've learned from my husband's family, who are Czech and very, very, very frugal with money, we've developed what we call Pitranomics, which is the 10-part strategy to grow, protect, and transfer wealth. And so each week we cover one of the 10 strategies on the Thursday Talk. I look forward to meeting with you and sharing all about that. And that is my little intro. I forgot what it was. Let me do one thing. Stop this extra recording. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is get my presentation ready. And real sorry, we literally ran in here and started trying to get this thing ready to go. So let's share the presentation for today. Wherever it goes. Nope. I'm getting the hang of everything. Let's see, basic. There we go. Nope, it's not sharing. Maybe it is. And I'm not on the beginning page. Okay, so today's talk about the Joneses. So there's an expression about keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the people around you, trying to determine how you live your life by how the people around you live their lives. As a result, a lot of people are feeling now the woes from holiday season a couple of months back. And so now that we're feeling the pain, now that those credit card bills have come due and we're trying to make them disappear along with the, same everyday monthly struggles, monthly payments, let's talk about situation place. So once again, this is an overview of the 10-part strategies. And the one we're working on now, the Joneses don't have jack, and I think everybody can fill in the rest. So when you're feeling the credit woes from holiday spending, what that means, in my mind, is some things and you're feeling full about those expenditures. Ideally, you spend, don't regret that money. It serves a purpose, serves your goal, or something like that. What happens is a lot of people do most of their spending in the year around the holiday season, the late quarter in the calendar year, because they're going to holiday parties, they're giving gifts, they're going on trips, they're doing a lot of things that they either hopefully save up to be able to do, or they debt up to be able to do, and then they pay for it the rest of the year. Guess which one I think is better? So for those of you here, will you take a poll? This is actually only on the Zoom. And we're going to launch a poll. Let's see, can I do that? Where is that? Shamir, can you launch the poll? Okay, so if you'll go ahead and do it, then we'll take a few minutes to answer these questions. What was your last large impulse purchase? So I'm not talking a candy bar or anything like that. Something that really kind of hit the budget. By the way, I'm the only one that see who puts these in. So if you feel something about, please go. This helps us have in Pitranomics. So I would appreciate both of you putting something into that. If you could reverse the purchase, would you? And if yes, what would you use that money for now? And if no, did that property serve your life goals? So in Pitranomics, we talk about determining your end of life goals and then assessing what resources you have in order to accomplish those goals and then establishing your roadmap. So if you had an impulse purchase that did not support your goals, do you regret the purchase? Can't talk today. And then what would you spend it on? And if no, you wouldn't reverse the purchase. Did it support your goal? And just for extra credit, what goal was that? And then the last question, was that impulse purchase more than 10% of your monthly gross? So if you make $300 a year, then, $3,000 a month, then is it more than $300 in a month? Because that's pretty significant. I'll give it another couple seconds and we'll see what the results are. And then we'll end the poll in 10, 9, let me do a dance, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're gonna end the poll. And we'll come back to those later. Let's see. Let's look at these details. For some reason, I guess that's not sharing with the presentation. We'll have to figure that out. We'll come back to that. But anyway, oh no, here it is, sorry. Do you guys see the poll results or do you see the presentation still?
The poll result.
Okay, so we had one answer, all right. What was your last impulse purchase? Didn't have one. Well, this will be kind of short on this. If you could reverse the purchase, would you know because you didn't make one? Okay, the other point is moot. Thank you for that. Let's see if I can get the comments. Sorry?
Check the comments.
The comment? Oh. Did it not work? When you say comment, the chat?
I'm sorry, chat.
I didn't put anything in there. Hey, if you need an example, Julie, you could do the iPad for like 1,000, so it's not over 10%. Well, it is over to 10%.
Yep. So do you regret that purchase? Would you reverse it if you could?
Me, no.
Okay. So does that purchase assist you in your goals?
Yes.
Okay, then I think that is an extremely valid purchase and probably not fueled by the Joneses. Now,
Right.
what I'm trying to do is figure out how to get back to the presentation. Okay, all right. So are we back to the presentation? Because I can't tell what y'all see.
We're back to the PowerPoint of it, it looks like.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. So let's ask our questions about why we do so much holiday spending. Now, I've been to homes where they have these big, beautiful trees and they decorate and everything's wonderful. I don't have an issue with that. I love going into a festively decorated home, even though I'm not a big fan of doing the actual decoration. But I get it. It gets you in the mood and it's lovely. But beyond that, does joy come wrapped in decorated paper? Whatever it is you receive in that box or that bag or whatever it is, does it bring you joy that lasts? I mean, of course, it might be something really cool you get at the moment, but how much does it do for you long term? I would say probably not much. Does contentment come from receiving something expensive? If someone gives you this really, really expensive gift. So I will say, if we take David's iPad example, long time ago, I think, golly, about 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, we gave each of our kids iPads as a gift. The first iPad, the first generation, which was a pretty novel toy. I would say that gift, while very expensive, gave them lasting joy, involvement, functionality. They took pictures, they doodled on it. One of the purposes that we were serving was to help them learn how to understand technology while they were still in our home. Our original thought about technology is children don't need to have a phone, children don't need to have an iPad, they need to blah, 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 this. But since our overriding goal was to raise sane, productive, independent members of society, we quickly learned, ascertained that technology use is a very major part of being able to function in the world. So that's why we decided to give it to them. That purchase meant we had other responsibilities, monitoring what they did, monitoring their interactions with others. But even though it felt like a whimsical purchase, we just, oh, let's go out and do these. And it was actually at the behest of our then exchange student. The kids need iPads, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, they don't, no, they don't. And then he's like, look at all these things they can do. And everybody else is going to be doing, and they need to start learning technology. And so we did. I thought that was pretty awesome. And how much time is spent with the gift recipient? So if you give someone a really expensive gift, or you really want an expensive gift, is it something that's bringing you together? Is it something that's enhancing the relationship? Is it something that the two of you find that bonds you, that helps you learn, that helps you grow? Anything like that, great. That's a wonderful gift. But if it's something that's just for show, that you don't particularly participate with each other on it, if it's something like that, then I don't understand. So here's an example. My husband has never given me an expensive handbag. I mean, one, I think it's just against his religion, but two, that doesn't bring us together. And expensive, and I don't mean by expensive that it's really, really good quality. I mean, like it's showy, like it has a brand, like it's something that I put on so that other people can say, oh my gosh, you have that bag. Oh my gosh. Those aren't, to me, purchases that help support your EOLs, and in fact, come under trying to keep up with the Joneses. It doesn't bring the recipient and the giver together. And I think that major gift spending should do just that. It should bond you guys, not separate, and not be, and certainly not be on show for anybody else. Well, let's talk about some of the conflicting beliefs that people have that make them susceptible to the Jones type spending. So here in the US, I can't speak for all countries, but we have this conflict that, one, money is the source of all evil. If you have a lot of money, it's bad. Nobody that has a lot of money is a great person, blah, blah, blah. Versus, if you don't have a lot of money or don't have enough money, it means you're bad or lazy or not smart or something other pejorative. That conflicting belief, or those conflicting beliefs, to me, lead to a sort of schizophrenia about what money is, what it does for you. I personally don't believe that money is good or bad. An abundance of it or an absence of it leads to cracks in the underlying personality to show. So it's not that the cracks aren't there. It's that abundance as well as absence of money can make those cracks really loom large. And so it's the cracks in the personality that you have to deal with. Money is just a thing. Same with food. You can have too much food, that's called gluttony, or you can have enough, not have enough food, or you're starving. So it's not the food that's bad, unless it's, poor quality food. It's not the food that's bad. It's how that person's personality traits are showing under either the overabundance or the scarcity of the item. Another thing that I see, especially amongst teenagers, is that their social rank, or people think my social rank depends on how much people perceive that I have. So it's not about what you have and whether you enjoy it. It's about what you think other people will think of you if you have it. That leads to very cult-like purchases. And it also means you're not buying because it's something that you want, something that you need, something consistent with doing your life purpose. That's not that kind of spending. That's, I am trying to sway other people's perception of myself based on my possessions. Now, I am not so naive to believe that possessions don't affect perception. I do believe it, but how much do those perceptions stray you from your path? That's the issue. And then the last one, if I don't fit into a certain standard, I'll be an outcast. So a lot of people are afraid of being left out of their group. And so they want to do enough to fit in. It's not like they're trying to get to the top echelon. They're just trying not to be the group pariah. When I was in high school, the in brands were Ralph Lauren, which I never see anymore. Izod, at least not here. I guess it's still warm, but I don't see it. Izod Lacoste, Sperry Topsider boat shoes. And there was this whole look, the preppy look. If you had it, you had all the right clothes in the right colors, because, you know, the wrong colors went on sale, then you were considered part of this group that was accepted only if you were in contention for being accepted anyway. So if you were the ultimate outcast, putting on the clothes didn't make any difference. But that is what people think. If I do this, I won't be cast out of the group. I won't be alone. I won't be vulnerable. Now, again, I am not so naive to believe that there aren't certain actions that people can take to avoid becoming the outcast. But for someone like me, and I think maybe this was good training, I was not one of the popular kids. I realized there wasn't much I was going to be able to do or change in order to fit in. I was kind of a weird little nugget. I'm still a weird little nugget. But as a result of not feeling like there was much I could do to be accepted by this so-called elite group, that helped me settle into figuring out who I was. I consider it a blessing now. Of course, it was painful at the time, but I now feel that is a total blessing. So here are other ways we fall victim to the Jones mentality. We will see an advertisement that shows something that we believe is luxurious or a part of the elite group, and we think to ourselves, if we have this item, we will make our lives better. If we have this item, the item will do it for us. Or we might have an immature mindset about it because we'll see something that we like or want or covet, and we think, well, if they can have it, I should have it too. And so that mindset shows up, and you're spending your energy and your time and your money after something that you already know, if you have goals, doesn't meet it, but you're looking mainly immature place, not a strategic place. And then there's that whole tribe mentality that if everybody else is doing it or everybody else is wanting it or wearing it or whatever, I should get it too. Again, so you don't feel left out. I'd be interested to know if anyone wants to write in the chat if you felt susceptible to any of these influences, either an advertisement that made you somehow feel that having that product would make your life better in an appreciable way, or if you feel, well, if that, and that's putting on energy face, if that person has it, then I should too. Or if you have that, I don't know if I necessarily want this item, but if I don't have it, I won't be a part of the group. If I'm not part of the group, I'm going to be alone and vulnerable, and I should do it to at least fit in. I felt that mostly at work. When I first started working after my MBA, there was a certain way of working. There was a certain bag or types of bags, certain calculators that people had. Back when people used to carry calculators and not on their phone, there's always a host of things that help you feel like you were one of those in the know, one of those fitting in, one of those, et cetera, et cetera. looking back, I don't think it helped me fit in better, but I do think it's kind of a control device. Because if the expectation's been set that you will be accepted if you have this thing, all you got to do is lead with that propaganda and everybody will follow because they want to be accepted. And it's kind of sad to me, but I get it. That does happen. So the cure to the Joneses or the Jonesitis. Boy, in keep up with. Well, in Pitranomics, we talk about you have to have a clear and purposeful life goal. In Pitranomics, they're called end of life goals or EOLs. And if you have something that gives you that much purpose and that much drive, it helps take your eyes off what other people are doing and put it on what you should do. Particularly if you follow up with acknowledging the limits of your resources, understanding they're finite, understand that you may not have enough to accomplish your goals. So you have to be not only extremely frugal at their expenditure, but working really hard at generating more. So you know you can't waste them on these other things. You have to understand just like how wasting those resources sabotage your probability of success. And then one of the really important things, we have to get rid of this really dysfunctional relationship most of us have with money. Money is a tool. It's not a position. Money is meant to be used, exchanged, grown. It is not meant to covet and hoard. It's not meant to control, except your own situation. And it's not bad and it's not good. If you have a bunch of it, it doesn't mean you're great. It doesn't mean you're bad. This means you have a bunch of it. And then on the flip side, if you don't have enough, if you're deathly poor, it doesn't mean you're not a deserving human being. It just means you don't have much money. And if you can separate that from yourself, then you can find the wherewithal to get the more money you need to better your life. Because you will establish the goal and believe you can accomplish it. And you will source whatever you have in the pursuit of accomplishing it. And then you will make sure you get yourself a path. And if you have a goal and you understand what your resources are and you're accumulating those and you know your path, that is the best cure for the Joneses. So that is the end of our presentation. I want to see if there's anything. Oh, okay. In the chat, things that were added. So those Stanley Cups, right? Those Stanley Cups that people started buying, at least here in the States. And there was this mad craze over this cup. And I thought, wow, what is that? And then I was seeing stories, especially on social media, about moms whose kids were crying because they couldn't afford to give them Stanley Cups. And then those girls that had, or kids that had the Stanley Cups was like, yeah, look at me. And then those kids that didn't have them were made to feel like you're not good enough because you don't have a Stanley Cup. When honestly, it is an insulated cup. That's all it is. It has a very distinct function. And yes, they look nice. I actually have a Yeti. I don't have a Stanley Cup. I'm not going to trade in my Yeti for the Stanley Cup. My Yeti is very functional and I like the color. Not because everybody else likes the color, but because I like the color. And understanding what your own tastes are, what your own drivers are, what your own purpose is, that's what helps keep you from chasing what the Joneses have. And all the Joneses are the people next door or the people that you see, and you don't know what they want. You don't know if they have clear goals. You don't know if they've done the work in assessing their resources to see if they can accomplish those goals. You don't know if they have a clear path. You just know they have a thing. And that means nothing. And then, okay, a little bit when playing ball. I don't understand. What's the context, please, on that comment? A little bit when playing ball.
You were saying about buying stuff that makes you fit in. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, when I was playing ball, I used to buy, would buy, I guess, a Gucci wallet, let's say, or a belt or something like that. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think especially with some kind of athletes, there's like a look maybe there are certain things that, you should buy, but looking at most athletes who play and a few years down the road, I think those that still have appreciable resources resisted some of those urges of buying what everybody else was buying. So here's another thing. If you look at what people are doing, and you can see others who have done that and see their path, if that path is something that you want, hop on board. If that's part of what you're intending to do, great. There you go. It's laid out. But if it's not, just put that away. Is it hard to put that away? Yes, it can be. And the only way is to be clear about what you want to do. That has to be stronger than the influences trying to drive you in different directions. And why did I want to talk about this after the holidays? Because that's when so many people do their spending, and they spend so much. And I'm pretty sure all of us could raise their hands and realize that we got a gift during the holidays we didn't want. We're like, what do you do with it? Somebody spent $5, $10, $15, $30, and you're like, I'd have rather had the money than this thing right here. And then on the flip side, maybe you've given something to somebody and you realize it wasn't in the betterment of their purpose. It didn't make them happy. It didn't bring you closer. It just sort of sat there and gathered dust. And now you felt, I probably just should have given them the money. Or I should have just maybe taken them to dinner and we laughed and had a good time. The experience is also a worthy expenditure. So that's kind of how I feel about post-holiday spending. I generally don't have and haven't had in many, many years post-holiday woes. I haven't been big on gift giving or spending. The biggest woe I had is when we, as a family, went on this most expensive trip of our life to Mexico at this beautiful all-inclusive resort. I mean, don't get me wrong, the walk up to that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is nirvana. And then the sun didn't come out and we all got sick and it rained. And what I would do with that money. I probably just should have gone and wasted it on expensive handbags. It would have been just as useful. By the way, I do like certain expensive handbags. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Just want to put that out there. So thank you for listening to my presentation. Does anybody want to unmute and share something about what I've said, or share what they think, have a conflicting idea, have a question?
What does LV stand for?
I don't know. I've never heard of that.
Low value?
Low value? Lost value?
It's all in the eye of the beholder, apparently.
Yes.
Well, we don't have to worry about me holding any ever.
No, that's true. You've not been, as long as I've known you, big on the brands.
No.
I do kind of have I don't know, because when I think about impulse buys, I'm not really sure how this is. Kind of the opposite of a keeping up with the Joneses. Is probably like a, hey, now this was really a good impulse buy in my opinion. I had a kind of a plan of what I was going to do for the holidays and all that stuff, and was fully committed to sticking to it. But while I was in line to purchase something, something just kind of caught my eye, and I was like, oh my goodness, my brother would really love this. And it was like $6. So it was not in the plan or in the budget. But the look on his face on Christmas when he opened that $6 gift was priceless to me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, even though I veered off the plan, it wasn't a lot and it made a difference. Like, I know that even though it's a collectible item, so he really is not going to use it, but he's very appreciative of it because, and it's something that I would have never even thought to get him. It was just one of those things that popped up and was like, oh my gosh, he's really gonna love this, and he really did. So that, that to say it took $6, a $6 gift to make someone happy. I didn't have to spend a ridiculous amount of money, you know what I mean, or buy a bunch of stuff because I didn't buy much, to really make a difference. So, that could be part of the anti or the cure for, keeping up with the Joneses is, the thoughtfulness behind the gift versus the price or the quantity of gifts.
Exactly. And if the thought is really what's driving you with buying the gift, then I think you have little fear of going wrong. But if you're only giving a gift either to check a box or to make it so they have something they can show, then that's when it's possible to veer off. Sounds like a wonderful gift. And that's what's most important, the intention and the purpose. And is this a gift that he talked to you quite a bit, so you guys had a chance to bond even more, or?
No, I mean, not really. It Christmas was weird. My dad had to work, so we were trying to like hurry up and do everything so he could, get rest and go to work. So we didn't really get to bond over it, but the amount of time it took him when he opened it, and he was like, "Oh my goodness, where'd you find this? How did you know?" And it was just like I would have never even thought to get it. I found it by accident, and I knew you'd love it. So it was a quick bonding. And he, I know because he collects certain things that I know, he's very sentimental person. So I just and knowing that about him, I knew it would mean a lot to him. So it was just kind of a happenstance thing, but I'm glad that that he's that way versus me getting this big old expensive gift or a whole bunch of stuff for him for Christmas, and he may like it, but it may be in that category where 6 months later he's not thinking about it. You know what I mean? So it was just, I was kind of glad that I found it, glad he liked it. And since like I said, he's nothing he can really use as a collector, but I know, as collectors do, they may look up at their collection and be like, look what I got, So.
And then they're happy. But then, so there was joy in that package.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And it was joy for me too, because again, like it's just when you know someone like that, and it was just like, he's gonna love it. And then when he loved it, I was like, he loved it. $6.
I think that makes people feel good to give gifts that are appreciated and valued.
Yeah.
That also kind of sucks when you give a gift that's not.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a big expenditure of your own resources, and then there's no appreciation on the other side. So, yeah. But one thing that I think is crucial to remember about the strategy the Joneses don't have Jack is to remind you not to be distracted. Oh, and Shamir, there's a book that I forgot to mention. It's called Get Financially Naked. I've mentioned it before. It's a book so that you can learn how to talk about attitudes and feelings about my partner. And too many people have assumptions and beliefs that they go into a relationship with that they don't know how to talk about. So this helps you have the framework how to talk about these things with your partner. Doesn't necessarily solve your financial discrepancies and your values. What it does is it helps you have a way to talk about them, a path, a platform. And so that might be a good gift for a young couple, just starting, as long as they read it. So here's the thing to remember. Pitranomics is all about accomplishing your goals, being able to say, I was successful at that at the end of my life that I set out to start some point earlier. And if that's what you can say at the end of your life, I accomplished my life's purpose and goals, then you're living a life without regrets. But most people, and here's the thing about the Joneses, it's not just about spending, it's actions too. Oh, I worked 80 hours a week because I wanted to impress my boss or my colleagues. And then at the end of my life, my marriage suffered or flailed. My kids don't know me, and I don't have any friends. That's also an expenditure of resources. Or I'm going to behave in this certain way because I want to keep up with what the people are doing. And I can actually share a story about that. When I first moved into the neighborhood where I live now, I was at this playground and I met this family, this mother and her 3 kids. I had 2, and 9 in age, playing in the park, and they actually played together off and on all throughout elementary school and middle school and high school. But at the time, this lady's kids start throwing these rocks at a wall, and the wall was somebody else's property. And so I was watching those kids do it, and my kids picked up a stone like they were going to do it, and I gave them that "you better not look" from the mother. And I think I communicated it like, and so they didn't. And that mom said, "Oh, you're so strict, your kids are going to end up on posters in a post office because you're too strict with them." And I was like, "Oh, do you think so?" And again, I wasn't concerned with her thoughts about how I raised my kids. I had no idea what she wanted to accomplish for her kids. I didn't know if her less stringent approach was leading to something she had decided to do, or she didn't have, there's no judgment. I don't know if she just didn't have enough interest to be like I was. It didn't matter. My husband and I had clear goals on how we wanted to raise our kids. We had at least defined ideas on how we wanted to do it. And destruction of property that wasn't ours was one of the big no-nos. Big, 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 big. Destruction of property was a corporal offense in the Pitra household. So no, we weren't going to allow anyone to do it. I know people that have changed their parenting styles so that they can get along with the people that are around them. I think that's utter horse manure. I'm not changing the way I raise my kids because of what I see around me. I don't know what they want. I don't know where they're headed. And those are their kids. My kids are raised the way my baby daddy, my husband, and I decide that they're going to be raised, because we're the ones co-parenting those little urchins, and nobody else's opinion is welcome except for my mother-in-law's. Now, you go forward several years, I'm very happy with the way that we raised our kids. Not that they're perfect, not by any means. And if y'all are listening, I love you, but you're not perfect, but you're on the way. I can tell you're on the way to being the same productive, independent members of society that your father and I intended for you to be. And maybe you're going to be a little more independenter sooner than expected, because today I had one of those things that everybody has with their kids. So that's all the Jones is about. Keep your resources deployed to accomplishing your goals. Don't waste them on stuff that you see other people doing. Don't worry about that. And that will increase your chances at the end of your life, you're being able to say, "I have no regrets." And if you've heard me say this, that is one of the things that I try to live my life doing, not to have any regrets. Because when my wonderful mother died at 57, and I was lucky to have a few months between the time she got so sick and we knew she wasn't going to make it and when she passed, that time was precious. And she could say to me, "I don't want to go, but I have no regrets." And that is what I want to be able to say to myself and say to those that I love when the end is nigh. I have no regrets. I've loved, I've shown people I love them, I've shared what I know, I've learned from them, and I've done the best I could to live a purpose-filled life as defined by how my husband and I set out to live our lives together. Shamir, thank you for posting the link to the book, Get Financially Naked. If you guys want to grab that real quick before it goes away. I appreciate everybody listening. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to share or ask? Because I'll end early if it's not. By the way, before I say that, I had my ribbon cutting up in Paris. So what that means is my company that does renovations and investments and stuff like that, we joined the Chamber of Chamber of Commerce, is that what it is? I'm losing what it was. Chamber of Commerce up in Lamar County. And today was the ribbon cutting, and there were pictures and videos taken. So somewhere they'll be posted. Maybe I'll make you guys watch them next week. But I am officially open for business, or at least acknowledged as being open for business. And it was a hoot. I loved it. It's a great experience. So unless there's anything else, I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your interaction. And I hope you guys have a fantastic week and weekend. And I will see you next Thursday. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Mwah. Oh, will the thumb emoji thing happen? Or maybe this. Hold on, it's not working. I know. Oh, there it is. There are the hearts. Okay, everybody have a good week. Bye-bye.